It's like being caught in the headlights of a car down here. So I'm going to be talking about multidisciplinary attacks, in particular really how bank attacks are done today. We've been talking a lot throughout today about cross-site scripting, SQL injection, a bit of this, a bit of that. Unfortunately, the real stuff, the way that people are really breaking into bank accounts and really doing the damage to web applications has nothing to do with that stuff. Okay, so there are lots of ways of breaking into a bank. Okay, and the cross-site scripting, SQL injection is pretty. There's some nice academic papers about it. I've been a consultant for a large number of years. I've used and written plenty of reports about how to use this and find vulnerabilities in that. But in reality, if you're going to steal lots of money from a bank account and you're going to do it remotely, you're not going to be pissing around with cross-site scripting and SQL injection. Okay. So a lot of people here, how many people in here are security consultants or have done penetration testing? So about a third. So I'm assuming that a large number of people in here are more on the coding side or having to look after applications. Okay. So if we look at it from a penetration testing perspective, you have your creative tools that you need for testing applications. You've probably got a personal web proxy, a vulnerability scanner, a fuzzer suite, compiler. Some people may even go as far as some static analysis tools, although the number of people that have can breach the gap, the skills gap between web application security and malware analysis is fairly rare. And there's only a few people I know about who are really good at this. The problem is that the vulnerabilities inside web banking applications are more than code injection and is much more than authentication bypasses. Frankly, it's application flow and the user experience and the way it's manipulated is how the criminals are really breaking into these web applications. And what I'm really going to be talking about today is how this malware is actively being used today, how sophisticated it actually really is, how it operates against web applications, and what sort of things you need to take into mind in designing and developing web applications, and the security advice you give from a consulting perspective, and how to combat the latest generation of malware. Okay. So given this is Owasp, who really cares about malware? In fact, you need to start thinking about why does someone break into a web application? And you also need to understand or appreciate the how is really dictated by how easy it is and the probability of success. Okay. So there's a bit of background. So the world that we live in today, you would have seen that from a IBM ISS perspective, we're currently monitoring around about 100,000 defacements per week. Okay. So these are websites or web pages that have been defaced and typically have an embedded iframe. Okay. The largest attacks that we've seen using SQL injection to carry out defacements have reached up to about 1.5 million sites. Okay. We also see that critical components of this ecosystem of breaking into banks are really the botnets and the botnet empires and the agents. You'll have plenty of statistics ranging from somewhere between 10 and 200 million bot agents out there. And Stormworm itself is often talked about of being about 10 million bots. Personally, I think the estimates are way too high. A lot of the bot engines, a lot of the compromised hosts that I've seen have typically had between 4 and 10 different bot agents actually installed on them. So once a machine is compromisable and has been affected with a bot, then more than likely that user has been using that machine has been compromised by many, many other bots. Okay. Another key thing to bear in mind is that today your basic identity information, so your credit card and duplication of credit card information and your address currently goes for around about 5 cents. Okay, if you buy in batches of about 10,000. So from a web application security perspective, this is the tricky part. How do you do online business if about 1/3 of your customers out there, scattered around the globe, are already compromised and you can't actually trust the information that comes from those machines? Okay, and this is this is the paradigm that we now need to face from from security consulting perspective and also the way that we develop and design applications. Okay, we've been talking about how does someone break into our individual application? How does someone manipulate that application? Now you need to look at the other side and assume that the people who are using your application are already compromised. And what value is that? What value and what sort of process do you need to enact to be able to protect your application and your structure from your customers? So malware is really at the heart of organized crime and organized bank attacks. So if we look at a fairly standard suite of malware today, it's damn sophisticated. Okay. So you've got all the classic key logging, screen capture, video replay. It's going to bypass a lot of the technologies that you use for detecting whether it's a real person at the end using the machine. Okay. We see remote session writing frameworks, all the stuff about cookie stealing, session hijacking. This is already done. It's all built into the malware, and these kits are available at from any high street retailer almost. The attacks and the mechanization of these attacks using malware are script-driven. Okay, and you can buy these templates to actually drive these scripts from third-party providers. And of course, the last thing you want really is about full self and anti-debugging features. So this stuff is really sophisticated, and it's designed to not be detected, and also to make it damn hard for someone like myself and my research teams to actually reverse engineer and figure out what's going on. But the most important thing really about today's malware is about the social engineering. Okay, so all of these are devices and mechanisms for allowing them to conduct the attack. The attack is successful because of the social engineering aspects. So I include this slide because, frankly, 10 years ago, everyone was chasing after little bits of malware. Malware today is big, big, big business, and I'm going to talk about just how big this business is going on. And frankly, your antivirus suites and things like that are inadequate. The fact that you're relying on antivirus at the end machine, whether it's a corporate desktop, laptop, or your home machine, is pretty much redundant. Okay, by the time the malware can be detected or is in a position to possibly be detected at the desktop, it's too late. Okay. So the question really, evolving from this, is how did the customer become the problem? Your end user, how did they become the problem? So iframe injection averaged about 100,000 web defacements per week, and this sort of thing really started February, March early this year, and since then it's actually been fairly constant. We've seen the classic IIS ensembles and the LAMP frameworks being popularly attacked. Most sites that we come across and that we inventory have no idea that they've already been attacked successfully and defaced. The defacement is really about iframe code injection, and can't you see it on here? Here's a sample iframe of, in fact, I think this was from one of the storm worms, or one of the iframes injected via the storm botnets. And so it's a single line sitting inside the web page. So defacements before used to be about putting up a nice big message saying, aren't I cooler than the sysadmin, or some sort of political message. Defacements today are about these iframes. I've come across websites that have up to 10 different iframes from different people that have compromised the same websites. Okay. The whole purpose of these iframes is to infect anyone that visits those browsers, uses their web browser and visits those sites, okay, and installs malware through